don't have any votes to block witnesses, and they really didn't have enough votes to block them anyway. But coming out of Washington, Republican leaders said they don't currently have enough votes to block witnesses in 45% of the impeachment trial. People familiar with the matter said after his legal team concluded its efforts to counter Democrats' charges that the squatter abused power and obstructed Congress. On the third and final day of the presentations by the 45 blowing team, lawyers tried to cast doubts on the importance and credibility of allegations by former National Security Advisor John Bolton about the squatters' motives for freezing aid to Ukraine. Republicans had hoped to wrap up the trial within a quota of the squatter by this week, but Democrats have said that Bolton should appear under oath to offer a first-hand account of the squatters' motivation for freezing aid to Ukraine, a matter at the heart of the impeachment case. At a meeting of all Republican senators late Tuesday, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, a Republican from Kentucky, said the vote total wasn't where it needed to be on blocking witnesses or documents, and people familiar with the matter said he had a card with yes, no, and maybes marked on apparently a whip count, but he didn't show it to senators. Senators Cory Gardner of Colorado and Martha Cunt McSally of Arizona and Tom Tillis of North Carolina, who faced competitive races in the fall, addressed their colleagues in the meeting. People familiar with the matter said Cory Gardner said a longer trial would lead to more Democratic attacks, according to a spokesperson. And Tillis called the impeachment a sham, which it isn't. The Cunt McSally's office said she doesn't comment on what happens in private meetings. Administration officials said the White House optimistic it would get the necessary votes by Friday. We're still in the game, the official said, sorry. During Tuesday's proceedings, the squatters' lawyers would argue that the House managers hadn't established their case yet, and that 45 abused his power and obstructed Congress, and said the accusations fell short of the threshold needed to remove a squatter from the office, particularly in an election year. The bar for impeachment cannot be set this low, said Jay Suckylow, one of the squatters' personal blowers, referring to the Democrats' impeachment case. Deputy White House counsel Pat Philbin said the abuse of power article was infinitely malleable and allowed for too much subjectivity. How are we supposed to get the proof of what's in the squatter's head, he asked. White House counsel Pat Cipollone, in closing, reminded senators that the squatter's election was 9 months away, and said the choice should be left to the voters. Why tear up the ballots now, he asked. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, who's a Democrat from New York, following the conclusion of the session, dismissed the 45's legal team's arguments. Her argument is a diversion, he said. If you don't believe the newspaper report, call the witnesses, he said of the Bolton account, which was first reported Sunday in the New York Times. He reminded senators that the witness Democrats have wanted to call, but they have been blocked by the White House, which included Bolton and acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney, a Republican appointed by the squatter. Democrats, who control 47 seats, need 4 Republicans to join them to approve motions for new testimony or documents, which need a simple majority to pass. Starting Wednesday, the Senate will have 2 days to ask each side, followed by a vote later on this week on any new evidence if it comes through. In Tuesday's closing, the defense team was seeking to persuade senators not to support hearing testimony from further witnesses, among them being Bolton. Bolton wrote in a draft of his forthcoming book that the squatter told him he wanted to keep aid to Ukraine frozen until Kyiv had aided investigations into Democrats, including the Vice President Joe Biden including the former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter. Bolton's lawyer confirmed. The squatter has denied Bolton's accusations and description of the conversation. He has repeatedly said there was no link between freezing the aid to Ukraine and his push for investigations. Technically, there was a link between them. The squatters' blowers on Tuesday argued that too little is known about the Bolton claims for them to factor into the Senate trial. Suckylow called the allegations inadmissible and pointed to the squatters' denials while accusing the former advisor of seeking to boost his book sales. Impeachment, he added, is not a game of leaks and unsourced manuscripts. That is politics, unfortunately. As the squatters' allies attacked Bolton's credibility, former White House Chief of Staff John Kelly defended his former colleague. John Bolton says that's in the book. I believe John Bolton, he told a crowd at Ringling College in Sarasota, Florida, according to a local news report. The House last fall had sought Bolton's testimony but moved forward with articles of impeachment when he declined to appear without a subpoena. The House declined to subpoena him in an effort to move quickly and not get bogged down in the courts. But the reports of Bolton's account unsettled other Republican senators. Several who were on the fence about witnesses said Bolton's claims strengthened the case for further testimony, while the number of senators the White House believes may vote for more testimony ticked up. One proposal by Senator James Lankford, who's a Republican from Oklahoma, to make the Bolton manuscript available is to the Senate in a classified setting for review, drew the report of Senator Lindsey Dumbass Graham, a Republican from South Carolina, top blower of the squatter. Schumer rejected the idea of reading the manuscript behind closed doors when an absurd proposal, he said. It is a book. There is no need for it to be read in the SCIF unless you want to hide something. Referring to a secure facility, that book is set to be published in March. While no administration officials during the fall's House hearings testified that they were told directly by 45 that he was holding up the aid to pressure Kyiv, 4 current and former officials said they understood that to be the case. Republicans have said this week that if the Senate votes for more testimony, they want to call witnesses, including Biden and his son Hunter, which technically the impeachment isn't about them. The impeachment's about 45. The Republicans are trying to reverse this all on the Bidens when it's 45 being impeached. Senator Mitt Romney who's a Republican from Utah, and Susan Collins, a Republican from Maine, indicated on Monday that they were likely to favor witnesses. Senators Lisa Murkowski, who's a Republican from Alaska, and Lamar Alexander, a Republican from Tennessee, remained open to this idea. I think that Bolton probably has something to offer, said Murkowski Murkowski said on Tuesday. The White House has grown concerned in recent days that 2 other senators might vote in favor of more testimony. Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania and Rob Portman of Ohio. People familiar with the discussion said the defense team has been preparing for the possibility that the Senate trial will vote in favor of calling more witnesses and discussing how it would go to court to fight a subpoena for Bolton's testimony. Bolton has said he would testify during the Senate trial if subpoenaed. Toomey suggested a closed-door Senate lunch on Monday and an arrangement in which the Senate subpoenaed Bolton as well as a witness by the White House, an approach Romney said he found fair. I think if you hear from one side, you probably ought to have a chance to hear from both sides. Republican senators said that during the coming days of questioning, they plan to ask about the elder Biden as vice squatter withholding loan guarantees from the Ukrainian government when the nation was slow to fire a prosecutor general while Western diplomats criticized for not cracking down on corruption. They also plan to ask about Hunter Biden's role on the board of a Ukrainian gas company while his father was vice president. 45 and his allies have argued it was corrupt for Biden to call for the ouster of the Ukrainian prosecutor because he had once investigated the company. Burisma Holdings that had ties to his son. The Bidens deny any wrongdoing, which technically they've been investigated twice and no wrongdoing was found. But you can't convince the inbreeding Republicans that bounce up and down on 45's dick flat. The Bidens deny any wrongdoing. Hunter Biden has said that serving on the company's board showed poor judgment given his father's anti-corruption efforts. Republicans also plan to use their questions to attack the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Representative Adam Schiff, who's a Democrat from California, over his office dealings with the whistleblower whose account of the Ukraine pressure campaign spurred the impeachment inquiry. Democratic senators said they would like to ask questions that could allow the Democratic House managers to rebut comments from the 45 defense team. Following the period of questioning, the Senate trial will hold as much as 4 hours of debate on whether to subpoena witnesses or documents. If that hurdle is cleared, the Senate would then proceed to vote on whether to hear from Bolton and subpoena the notes he took during his tenure as National Security Advisor and gather other information, or hear from other witnesses.